Some of us have heard about the death in threes scenario where it seems as though you'll hear about a famous death or someone that's known, and then we look for another two to drop because they always go in threes. Well, one such situation just recently happened. On all the deaths that happened were 2 days apart. If you remember hearing about Malcolm-Jamal Warner, his death happened, and then 2 days later, Mr. Ozzy, and then 2 days later, now today, Hulk Hogan. Now, the theory isn't that they all shared some similarities in their what they were doing, although they were all in entertainment. That is obvious. Um, but the question is what and why these particular three. We don't have an answer to that. Maybe you guys do. The secondary option is this something of a ritual, or is it something spiritual, or is it just coincidental? Now, Malcolm died because of an accidental drowning. That's so far being ruled the way it is. And he passed away just recently here on the 20th. And then Ozzy had been struggling with his health for a while. Spinal surgery. He said he shouldn't have had the spinal surgery, and it eventually causes death. He had a farewell tour because he knew he was about to die, and he died on the 22nd. And now this morning, we hear that Hulk Hogan, Terry, died. And then he wasn't planning on it. It was out of the blue heart attack. So they don't share that similarity. One was known and two were accidentals. At least that's what we're saying. Two unknown and one knew he was coming. So is there a significance in it? Is there a significance in the 2 days apart? Is there something behind it that we don't know about that they all three had something to do with? Did they have something that they were either involved with each other? They were going to do something. This is always the theory that comes out. They were planning to expose this and expose that, and that's why this happened. Or this person was going to be dealing with that, and that's why they didn't just die. They got put away. Now, most of you might remember Malcolm from the Cosby Show. That's where I remember him 100% was always being Theo. I really appreciated his character because while I didn't identify necessarily with Theo, I just thought he was a at times really intelligent kid, but just super aloof. To hear that he passed was like surprise, especially the way he did. But it wasn't like, world breaking. I know for a lot of people it was the same thing with Ozzy. Only thing I remember was eating the head of a bat thing on stage. That much I remember, but I wasn't say I could be a fan of his music. I remember growing up watching wrestling and Hulk Hogan. I remember the Hulkster and him and Macho Man and the Undertaker and the Ultimate War. I remember all of that stuff. So for me, it was like these iconic things have come to a close. They were in my era. But when we look at the symbology of it, people can look at it and say, okay, it's numerology and it's all, you just got to look past the numbers and see that some things add. I saw this one guy talking about Malcolm and he said, if you add 5 and 4, you get 9. Everybody knows what the number 9 means. And he goes into this whole numerology thing about Malcolm. And he said, just watch for more things to happen. And, Ozzy. And then, so no doubt someone's going to come up with a numerology idea as to why this happened, of how they're even or they're odd or they were doing something in their private life that with I think it was Ozzy. I think it was Ozzy. He was a conflicted soul, the Prince of Darkness kind of thing, and then he had this funeral tour, and then he died, and that was the reason why he passed, because he already had his goodbyes lined up. All kinds of theories were popping off. But the in threes concept always linked to something either cosmic, a curse, a coincidence, or something spiritual. I can't say we believe in all of that. I know it's a tough pattern to shake because there's tons of things that happen pattern wise that makes you go, huh? Why these people? Why so close together? Why the time frame? Why the dates? Why they're aged? I mean, I'm sure if you look hard enough, you can find a correlation in some way, shape, or form to prove the thought process that you have. Or is it that things just happen in a certain way, and because we've tried to create some sort of a rigid format for everything, that everything seems like it's, crafted? That death has to mean something else, or it could just be people die. They just happen to die 2 days apart, completely different reasons, no link whatsoever, just because we think there's a threes club. If that was the case, listen here. I understand we only want to apply the threes club to people we know. But do we know how many people die a day? How many former famous people die? that probably die 2 days apart from each other or three in a row kind of thing, but we never hear about them? Why is it only specific ones? Because we're trying to probably more than likely being forced to think a certain thing. I'm not saying it's true. I'm not saying that it is not true that there is some symbology to it. But more than likely, is it not more that we are the ones trying to make something of something that isn't there? I'd like to hear your thoughts on this one because it's again, this is not the first time we've seen this trifecta kind of thing. We had Michael Jackson, Farrah Fawcett, and Ed McMahon. Okay, and that was in 2009. And then we had Prince, David Bowie, and George Michael. That was in 2016. The whole idea of the 2 days, 2 days, 2 days. But is it a large enough sample to say this is normal? Or is it just coincidental because of how limited it happens? Anyway, you let me know what your thoughts are. If it's just health related, accidental, whatever, there's nothing between it. There's no nothing to be found here, no conspiracy. Or is this some greater grandiose plan on a spiritual level or some cosmic level that's showing us the universe? Or is it just that these people had something in common and they all were going to come forward with some memoir about child trafficking and they ended? I don't know. Whatever your thoughts are, please let us know in your comment section below. We look forward to reading them.